one of your Earth emotions.
Glad I found you.
Let's get married.
Delete the wife.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Deep Space Love, the Star Trek podcast where a married couple explore love in all its forms throughout the final frontier. I'm Nicole, one of your hosts.
I'm Joe, your other host.
Thank you for coming back for our third episode. This will be June. Seems like we're getting them in right at the end of the month, just in time, right, Joe?
Right. Yeah, this will be, another one cutting it close just at the end.
But a little bit better than last month.
Yeah. We're a little bit more on top of it. We tried. How are you doing? I ask as if we don't live together.
I'm good. It's we finally got some rain up here in Minnesota, which was nice.
Yes, I also saw the rain. It does feel very nice.
It's been pretty hot up here comparatively to history, I suppose, at this time of year. Usually we don't get our big heat wave until late July, August, but it's been pretty scorching up here lately. Many days in a row without any precipitation at all.
Yeah, so the rain's pretty welcome.
And yep, we're going to be typical Minnesotan like that and just chat about the weather, create small talk about the weather.
Yeah. Even though like I said, we live together. We're just going to chat about the weather.
Yep. And we literally experience the same weather all the time. Anyway, so we're excited to dig into some Next Generation episodes featuring Captain Jean-luc Picard. We're going to talk about Captain's Holiday and Qpid, Qpid. Whoops, I totally jumped ahead.
It's okay. Yeah, it's exciting. We're breaking format a little bit. Not just one episode. We're actually talking about two. So a love story that kind of transcends episodes. Back when they did those episodic things, that's kind of a big deal, right?
Especially during that era. Yeah, there wasn't as much serialized storytelling and bigger arcs. And so having a returning guest like this was exciting.
Yeah, a recurring character. A sort of romantic interest for Captain Picard. The character's Vash we'll be talking about.
Yes.
Played by Jennifer Hetrick.
Yes.
So these two episodes are pretty fun ones to talk about. They're overall relatively low stakes compared to some of the episodes, but they're kind of fun ones. And I think we'll get into, we probably have some disagreements on how fun we think they are.
Yeah, we haven't discussed much before this, so I kept my thoughts to myself. So we'll see how this pans out.
Yeah. So shall we dig into it?
Yeah. Do you want to give? So the first one is Captain's Holiday. That comes first. Do you want to give a quick synopsis on Captain's Holiday?
I would love nothing more than to give a quick synopsis on Captain's Holiday. So Captain's Holiday is a TNG episode from season 3, and it's episode 19. Getting away from it all on the tropical resort of Risa, Picard is rudely interrupted by a security team from the 27th century, 300 years in the future, who enlist him in their search for a missing secret weapon. That
doesn't even mention Vash at all.
No, it's pretty rude.
It's
Google, so you can send your letters to them. Should we? So I'll stick with that one synopsis. We'll discuss a little bit about this episode, then we'll move to the next one, Qpid. But just for those of you who are listening and you haven't watched these episodes in either a long time or you haven't ever watched them, go sit down, grab Netflix or Paramount Plus or your Blu-rays or a DVD if you're somebody who has a DVD of these, and watch season 3, episode 19, Captain's Holiday, and also watch season 4, episode 20, Qpid, and then come back here and then come to the spot where you just paused. Welcome back. Let's continue on.
Gosh, that's so corny.
No, it's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, what did you think of the episode, Nicole?
So I think rewatching it more recently, I had different thoughts than I think when we first watched it. At face value, it's a pretty fun episode because we see Captain Picard so out of his element. And like you said, it's also low stakes. But upon rewatch, I didn't like it as much. I think it's kind of subpar. It's only okay. On a grander scale, and I guess I'll go into it. I mean, I think it's remembered as fun because, again, like seeing Captain Picard out of his sort of natural habitat and his natural how we typically see him.
Type.
You know, kind of. I mean, except he's playing who he is. Except he's his costume or his dress is much different than the buttoned up formal uniform we always see him in.
Oh, the outfits are a highlight.
Yes, maybe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, like how opposite they made Picard, on Risa. And even like Risa isn't necessarily his idea of like a fun, relaxing vacation. And it's kind of like when we first start the episode, people have different ideas of like vacation and relaxation, I would argue. And so I think his crew, I mean, and it's all kind of in good fun and in jest, but even when they're like, you should take a break, you seem stressed out, go do something just for you, he throws out some options that sound appealing to him, and everyone around him is shooting down his ideas. They're like, that's that's you thinking too much, or that's not like turning off, or they have all their own reasons for why they don't think his ideas or suggestions of ways he might relax are not fitting of what they think he should do. It almost seems like there's this huge conspiracy to get, and probably led by Riker based on how it goes, to get Picard to go to Risa, specifically. It almost seems like that's sort of like where they wanted him to go. And I think, I don't know. Yeah, I love the TNG cast, or like the characters and stuff, but I was like, I don't know. Again, it's played for laughs, but I feel like looking at it now, and sort of like the growth that I've had becoming an adult over the past few years, I feel that it's not great for friends to do that, or friends or family to do that and be like, no, you should do it the way I think you should do it. Like, people can spend their me time however they want. So I don't know. That was something that stuck out to me and wasn't really also, there's this undercurrent of Picard getting laid, like, especially because, they're kind of like, oh, Risa's right there. Like, go to Risa. Like, it's.
We should probably tell people if you're not, if you didn't take that opportunity to pause and watch the episodes, what Risa is.
Okay. Do you want to give a little? Okay.
Yeah. So Risa, this is actually the first episode that introduces Risa, which is kind of comes back throughout different series in Deep Space Nine and in Enterprise. It's mentioned in other ones, but it's basically a pleasure planet. It's a planet within the Federation that's known as just this kind of hot vacation spot where their kind of culture is centered around
the beach life.
Yeah, almost like hedonism in a sense, like just having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And
strong sexual vibes.
Strong sexual vibes. There's like a
nothing wrong with that.
No, it's totally like, it seems like Riker likes it. Riker
yes.
loves Risa, and that's
Riker
great.
Riker loves Risa.
He wants Picard to love it, but Picard's not all about that life. And so, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, Picard was throwing out the idea of a conference that he wanted to attend, and everyone's like, no, that's thinking. Don't do that on your vacation. Which also, yeah, looking back, doesn't seem very fair, because especially knowing conferences could be a lot of fun.
I've had very good times at conferences.
Yeah, so totally not fair, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
And just sometimes people aren't like into necessarily the like tropical vibe. Everyone, again, skimpy clothing. Like, for a good portion of the episode, Picard is wearing, when he's not, like, once we get in later, when they go on the little archaeological quest that they go on, he's wearing this like shirt that does have buttons, it appears, but it's unbuttoned, and he's wearing essentially a Speedo beneath that, and I think the shirt is asymmetrical, which is just this weird way to make it seem space-like. Totally unnecessary, but I realize that it's iconic in its own sense, I suppose. Also, when we get into later in the episode, once we meet Vash and the Ferengi Sovak that is she's kind of involved with, as far as the pursuit of the artifact they're looking for, the Ferengi misogyny is on full display.
Yeah, hard.
Yep.
Yeah, hard.
Yep.
The nice thing about the Ferengi there, though, is I feel like seasons 1 and 2 set up the Ferengi to be these villains, and I think at this point they were starting to realize that they're more ridiculous than threatening. And to the credit of what's his name, Max Grodenchik, did I say it right?
I'm not sure you said it right, but we apologize.
We apologize to advance. Sorry, Max. But to the credit of the actor there who plays Rom in Deep Space Nine later on, he plays up the ridiculousness of the character a lot better. Makes him less threatening and more just kind of annoying. I think that's intentional. But again, the writing of the Ferengi characters is really, really one note and poor. But so let's go into like the mystery at hand. So Picard's struggling to relax. He wants to relax. He wants to read his books in peace, but everyone wants to like, have him do fun things. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not fun for me. But anyway, he gets kind of caught up with this interesting woman, Vash, who we mentioned in the beginning. And she's searching for the Tox Utat. This is an old artifact. Actually not old. It's from the future that was brought back in time into this area and has been researched by various scientists. It's kind of a mythological artifact. And I wrote down what it does. So
please do tell, because there's not much.
No, it's not. It's a quantum phase inhibitor, or a device capable of halting all nuclear fusion within a star, invented by a scientist from the 27th century. So they're all searching for that. And there's all these competing factions. There's the Ferengi, there's Vash. There was a scientist that was apparently researching it, who we learned that Vash kind of stole research from after he died. And there's these two, I don't know what to say about them, odd future-y people. They're Vorgons. They're some very, very 90s makeup there and some very odd clothing choices. But they're these two aliens that are supposedly from the 27th century trying to steal the Taxutat for themselves, in a sense. They're like, history recorded Picard getting this thing. We're gonna take it then.
We don't know what their motives are. They say that they would like bring it back to their century, to where it belongs, but who knows what they're...
we really don't know. They just say the 27th century people. Picard sort of believes them, is sort of a little skeptical. But I will tell you, fun fact, I had a toy of those two characters.
Of course you did.
Of those two aliens.
So specific.
Yeah, I liked it. They were kind of cool. They have these cool, like, sparkly, I kind of think of them as like those reflectors you put on bike tires in their heads. Mm-hmm. That was kind of fun. But they're weird. You know what? To contextualize this whole thing, it really made me think of Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh my God, did you steal? I told you that.
No, you did not. Did you?
Yes, I told you that. I think we were falling asleep, so you probably think that was your thought.
You implanted it.
I did. I can't believe you just stole that.
Oh, well, then you explain away.
I thought you just totally set that up. That's funny.
I did not.
No, yeah, I think after we watched this episode, I think I mumbled to you as we were going to sleep. I was like, those two aliens, like the vibe I got from them were those the aliens from Dude, Where's My Car, who show up randomly trying to throughout the journey in that movie to recover the continuum transfunctioner. I
100% remember none of this when you tell me this. Now it was in my head totally though, but you implanted it while I was sleeping.
Wow, I'm gonna have to remember that I can do that. There's some things I should implant in your brain.
Maybe I'm gonna roll that back and say that actually didn't happen. I'm just copying. So
okay.
I don't know if that's a safe thing. Okay.
Okay. So anyway, that's sort of the vibe. I don't know. They're there randomly when it's convenient for them, and I don't know. Anyway, it's just setting up like the main characters in this episode. So ultimately, what happens is Vash convinces Picard that she knows where the Tox Utat is buried, and she proposes that they go search for it together before Sovak can get the same data that she has and find it for himself. So then that's kind of like the bulk of this episode, or the main point of this episode is them going on their little archaeological quest to recover the Tox Utat.
Yeah, it's an archaeology adventure.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that's the plot, and throughout it, like, Picard kind of realizes that he ends up having a good time because he is more attracted to the idea of adventure. He also geeks out about archaeology a ton. So he was all about that. And so he ended up having more fun doing this little adventure than relaxing and sitting by the poolside or doing all the pleasure-y stuff that Risa is known for. And so that's kind of the main point of the thing. And it's all, again, it's all really low stakes in the grand scheme of Star Trek. Like, we never feel like there's a lot of anything threatening. Like, the Ferengi certainly doesn't feel threatening. No. I don't think the future people really do either. In fact, I was like unconvinced they were even from the future for the longest time. I thought they were lying, and they
had a fancy transporter effect, so they were definitely from the future.
I guess that's what the episode wants us to think. I don't know. I still think that maybe they're not from the future.
Okay, so I kind of gave my thoughts on the episode overall, and we've been talking a little bit about the plot and certain details. What are your thoughts overall about the episode?
I like it overall. I think that, like you said, there are elements that are definitely problematic. Like, You know, the crew not really just letting Picard do what he wants to do. I think it was good for them to encourage him to take a break, because sometimes you need your friends to help you know when it's time to stop. But the fact that they're like, you got to do it this specific way does kind of suck, kind of shitty. I think that the way that Risa is portrayed in general, in the back then especially, they're like, this is a really progressive portrayal of sexuality. Elements of it don't hold up. I think if that was revisited now in like a Discovery episode, they would probably show more of it. They'd probably show more of the culture and try to make it, you know, I think it would just be a better portrayal. I just think it's kind of succumbs to some 90s, 80s sensibilities of what that might have looked like. And it's not great. I like I just like the world building. I like the creation of Risa. I think the concept itself is really good. The Horgon bit is really funny. The Horgon is this little statue that if you have displayed while you're sitting around Risa, it means you want to engage in Jahmaran, which is like some sort of mysterious sexual act. We don't know.
We assume, I suppose.
Yeah, but Riker kind of tricked Picard to get one of those and bring it back for him. And so he was sitting out with it, and people were like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "Why is everyone bothering me?" And they're like, "It's because of the Horgon statue." So that's a funny bit. I like those things. I like the low stakes archaeology adventure. I actually had a debate with our friend Qpid, who does Frankenstein's podcast with me, about the concept of archaeology adventures in general, because I was really excited for the archaeology elements for some movie. And he's like, why do you want to watch archaeology stuff in a movie? And I'm like, I like archaeology stuff in movies.
Has he ever seen Indiana Jones?
He is not into Indiana Jones, apparently. So I guess I'm outing Qpid about his Indiana Jones thoughts. Sorry, Qpid. But
hey, I mean, everyone's got their likes and
dislikes.
dislikes.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'm
totally fine. And I get it. I also think that might be boring for people watching this episode, but I thought it was cool. So I think it's fun. I think it's a fun low stakes episode. If I was guiding somebody who's new to Star Trek through Star Trek, I'd probably be like, you could probably skip this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a meh for me, a meh. Okay.
I also wrote this down real quick. So the description that the supposed future aliens, the Vargons.
Yeah, Vorgons.
Whoops. I feel like we never see from them again after this. Anyway, when they're describing the Tox Utat to Picard, they say that it's a crystal that fits in the palm of the hand. And that is it. Nothing else descriptive. Nothing about even like whether it has a color to it. I mean, I guess it fits in the palm of your hand, but I mean, that is so unspecific. It just stuck out to me that like that doesn't make it sound special at all. Anyway, also that little disc that she has the data on, or the information about where to find it. It's just like, do we ever see this tech again? It just seems not like, I don't think we ever see that kind of like data disc in Star Trek ever before or afterwards. So I just thought that was funny little like details that I'm just poking fun at for the episode.
So at the very end of the episode, they actually get the Tox Utat, and Vash had tricked everybody and had it, but Picard found it out, and he ends up beaming it out, but blowing it up while it beams out, so nobody gets it. However, there is some like Star Trek Online and like beta canon like novels that kind of dig into that further, and I think there's a novel where Q says something like, if the Vorgons would have gotten the Tox Utat, they would have blown themselves up trying to play with it anyway, so it wouldn't have done anything. And I think in the Star Trek Online canon, it implies that Picard did trick everybody and actually beamed it up and just made it look like an explosion, which is what I think we both thought originally.
Yeah, it's really up to interpretation. There's no follow-up. There's
anything.
Yeah, is it just a trick, or did he? It seemed like it had beamed out and then like the little like fireworks happened.
Yeah. Not
like at the same time. I don't know. And then, so we never know what a transporter code 14 is. That never comes up again.
No, I don't
Riker's
think so.
like, what? Sorry, what? Like, why do you want to? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
all very silly.
Very silly, and all very kind of contrived for this like single episode just to make it work.
I feel like us describing the plot of the episode makes me realize how contrive it is. I'm like, oh, it's pretty simple. And then I'm like, oh, all these like random weird things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a weird one. Hopefully you watched it before. Otherwise, much of that made no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I gave it like a kind of like an okay meh-ish. What would you say? Would you be there or would you be lower?
I'd be lower than that.
Ooh, harsh.
Yeah.
It's okay. Okay, fair enough though. Fair. Should we hop on over to the Qpid side of things?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So the other episode in question today is from season 4, and it's episode 20, Qpid. as you spelled earlier, Qpid.
Yep, that's how I spelt it.
That's exactly how you said it, right?
Mhm.
And the synopsis is as follows. The immortal Q returns to fan the flames of romance between Picard and an archaeologist he met while on vacation.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that is very vague for what happens there, too.
Yeah, that gives you
Come on, Google.
no context.
Yeah. So for context for everybody, basically, there's an archaeology convention that the Enterprise is hosting. Picard's doing the keynote speech. So there's a lot of cool archaeology geek out sessions in the beginning of this episode. Essentially, Q shows up, and Q is pretty much omnipotent and can do what he wants. And he thinks he owes Picard a favor from a previous episode. And Picard doesn't want a favor.
Mhm.
And Q realizes Picard and Vash have this thing because she's back. She's also doing archaeology things on the Enterprise. Q shows up, realizes they have a fling, and decides to throw them and the crew, our main cast members, into his interpretation of Sherwood Forest and the Robin Hood story, where Picard is Robin Hood, Vash is Maid Marian, and they're supposed to play out the story. And then there are some surprises along the way. So what do you think of the episode?
The archaeology bits, actually, I didn't remember that much of the episode being that, but actually, I mean, I don't know how long into the runtime before they are thrown
It's
into
like half
Sherwood
the
Forest.
episode.
Yeah, almost half the episode is not just the archaeology stuff, but it sort of sets up, you kind of glossed over a little bit, like the reason that Q gets involved is because he can tell that there is some romantic tension between Picard and Vash, but the thing is, like, they get upset at each other, or rather, like, Vash becomes upset at Picard because she in the beginning, he finds out that she's attending this whatever symposium, I don't remember what it is, whatever the event is, and so they sort of reconnect, and she ultimately, like, she gets a tour of the ship, and she's meeting all of Picard's friends and, like, bridge crew, castmates, or bridge mates, whatever. She discovers that, I mean, it's not even that big of a deal, like, at least to me, I don't know. She finds out, she's asking all of them whether they've, basically whether Picard told them about their adventure together and their, I suppose, relationship that began on Risa. Although it doesn't sound like they stayed in touch, really, in the intervening months or year that has supposedly passed. It doesn't sound like they kept in touch, writing or whatever, sending messages to each other. So she shows up, and I suppose off screen, maybe while they were on Risa, he talked about, all of his friends and the rest of his bridge crew. And, so she knows all about them, and they don't know who she is, and she gets upset about it.
She's sort of mad that he didn't talk about her to everyone else. Yeah. And Q hones in on this and thinks that Robin Hood stuff will fix that
somehow. Yeah. Again, very contrived.
Yeah. So
at least you have Q making it very contrived
yes.
this time.
Yeah. Q is a fun presence. Q can be frustrating, but I think in general he can make the episode fun. What did you think about the episode overall?
Well, so some of my first impressions, one of the things that is very fun that I've seen that I found very fun was, so I think Vash spends she spent the night, I think, in Picard's quarters. Yeah. And so then they're having breakfast or coffee or whatever in the morning, I suppose tea. And I guess Picard forgot that it was like the morning that Beverly would typically come and have breakfast with him. And so she rings at the door, and he opens the door, and there's kind of this awkward, like, Vash is like, oh, like, you have one of your, like, female crewmates coming to, like, visit you in the morning, and cause she's not in, like, her uniform yet. And then of course Beverly is very bemused to see this other woman sitting in Picard's quarters so early in the morning. So there's this, like, funny, awkward moment between them. And I don't remember the dialogue between them either, but it's just like, it's delicious, I think, in, like, this, like, dramatic way. And it's very funny.
It's so fun because I think I read somewhere that, like, that scene was written to be a lot shorter, but the actors in the scene kind of just played it up a lot more. And it's just so much fun to see Picard, who's just always so confident, sure of himself, and, like, competent as the leader, just being, like, so uncomfortable in that situation. You're just like, oh, I don't know what to do here.
Oh yeah, he clearly doesn't know what to do. Yeah. And so they start talking, and I'm glad they kept that in, and that the actors, like, worked with that and or took off with it. Also, a little bit later, as Riker is, I don't know, her tour of the ship is broken up by each different crew members, taking a part of it. And when Riker is touring her, and maybe it starts in 10 forward or something, but he's clearly trying to play his flirt game, and it just doesn't work at all with her, and it's just so
Right
funny.
Like
right away.
Riker being his Rikeriest.
Yeah, his flirty self, and just it's not coming through at all to her, or she's ignoring it.
Yeah, I think she's amused by it, but is not interested.
Yeah. So that's also very funny. The Robin Hood stuff, it's all very fun. Which is why I think this episode is more fun and memorable than Captain's Holiday. Between them, I would rewatch this one again as opposed to Captain's Holiday. I know you really love this episode, though.
I fucking love this episode. Yeah, I love this one. So when I was a kid, it was this episode and Tapestry, the one where Picard like basically sees his life if he didn't get his heart stabbed, were the ones that for some reason I always stuck out to me, or I always remembered. And this is one of them. And it's just so, I don't know. I was a big Robin Hood fan. Weirdly, it didn't carry over to me being an adult. Like I rewatched the Fox one from Disney like a lot. So when Picard and crew were Robin Hood, I was like, oh hell yeah, this is my jam. Mm-hmm. I recognize now that there are problems with it, and I will get into those. But I still had just a blast watching it, especially because it has so many funny lines, and there's just so many funny moments with.
I am not a merry man.
Exactly. Yeah.
I protest. I am not a merry man.
And I just love the outfits. They're absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Like the colorful one that Geordi wears, and Worf in his like red tights.
Also, Data's like whatever wig he's
wearing outfit. So funny. And I love like just how like frustrated Worf is the entire time is really funny to me, because like right away they're just like trying to figure out what's happening, and then somebody rides up in a horse and Worf is just like no questions, just runs at them, sword out, starts fighting. And he gets cut, and he doesn't fight very well. Oh, poor
he's
Worf.
a security officer, right?
He doesn't usually fight with swords. He fights with bat'leths, so it's different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're very different
So
weapons.
it's totally fair. But it's a lot of fun. And it's also kind of fun because Vash is supposed to play this like damsel in distress role, and she does sort of she turns that on its head a little bit. I think that Q expects her to follow the role perfectly, and she doesn't. Like at one point,
which is really fun to see Q annoyed.
That was great, because she was supposed to resist this marriage to the Sergei of Gisborne as the story, and she's like, "Oh, if I'm going to die otherwise, I'm just going to do that."
Immediately, she just
and Q's like, "What?"
Script, yeah,
and then like eventually, when Picard as Robin Hood comes to rescue her, she's like, "I've got this. Like, go away," and like she pulls the sword on him and lets him get captured so she can kind of keep up her ruse. So that's super fun. I really enjoyed like her flipping the script and also just being kind of, and her annoyance that Picard carries into this and stuff and everything. And anyway, of course, like ultimately they all end up getting captured, and the crew has to come to the rescue, which is pretty fun. But I thought it was a good role. I think that it was a nice role for Vash. I do think that Dr. Crusher and Troy kind of got the short end of the stick in terms of like getting to do fun stuff in this. Like they had cool outfits, but I was reading an interview that I think Gates McFadden and Marina Sirtis are the only ones of the crew who are actually sword trained in real life. Yet they weren't allowed to actually have a sword.
So rude.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's dumb. I also read that Jonathan Frakes got like his eye cut open because his quarterstaff like broke in half on set. So
holy crap.
So he was going hard.
This was an intense episode.
Apparently.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah. But anyway, ultimately, everything ends up fine. It's like, so it's like a holodeck episode without the holodeck. Like, so they're kind of being like, we can't rely on holodeck for this, so let's do a different thing. But it's fun, and again, kind of feels ultimately relatively low stakes by the end of it. So I think that's cool. I don't have much else to say about it. There's not really much you can say about it. It's just a silly episode.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun, silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once in a few minutes when we dig into the Picard Vash relationship, I feel like there is some interesting things there that
from this episode, yeah.
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 Well, from
both of them, yeah.
But yeah.
So some fun facts just about Vash in general. So I think I mentioned she's played by Jennifer Hetrick, and I think she did a great job with the role. Mm-hmm. Like she was having fun with it. I don't know her from much else, so I don't know what else she's been in. It's probably other things, but I read a quote from Ira Stephen Bear, who was working on the episode on the series at the time during season 3 when they made Captain's Holiday. And he said, what did he say? He said, quote, "People might not realize this, but even Vash was an attempt to bring a ballsy woman who's not your typical Star Trek woman, a clear thinker both in terms of what she did in her own life and sex and the whole bit," which is an interesting quote. I don't love it because I feel like he's implying that other Star Trek women aren't great, and I think there are. I think other Star Trek women are sometimes underserved by the writers, who are primarily men at that time. I think almost entirely.
Yep.
But so I kind of appreciate what he's trying to say. I just feel like it's a clunky quote. But I do think it shows in a sense of what he's trying to say, that they're trying to make somebody who can like match wits with Picard, who is not like a subordinate type character, who isn't like a typical sort of love interest. Like she is often one step ahead of him.
Yeah, okay, so I think one thing between these two, and I think when I give my rating of their relationship too, I might dive into this a little bit more, but not only is she maybe like an atypical love interest, at least for the time, but their roles in the relationship are a little bit reversed. So I think we are often used to seeing the, good girl who falls for the bad boy kind of trope in a way, or like stereotype or whatever. And this is kind of the other way around if you think about it. Like Picard is, again, very button up. He's captain of a starship. He's got a very important job. He is, he's almost always very serious and a rule follower, a rule enforcer, and all these things about him. And she is kind of like the bad girl that he has a fling with, kind of falls for, and because she's basically a human Ferengi. There's no other way I can say it. I couldn't help but notice that, especially because we've watched Deep Space Nine and we've gotten a lot more Ferengi culture, at least in our knowledge of like the series. And so having watched DS9 and gotten to know Ferengi culture really well, and then coming back to this to like the Captain's Holiday episode with Sovak, even though like that all wasn't quite fleshed out, like the profit mantra is very clear, and she actually that's kind of what she's all about too. She intended to sell the Tax Utat, and that's kind of her thing with archaeology in general, is finding artifacts to sell for the highest price. So she's, which is unethical. Like Picard finds that unethical, and I think most people would, especially she often wants to go where she's not allowed in order to find these artifacts, and sort of offend some of these cultures by trespassing. And so yeah, she's the bad girl, and Picard's the good boy. And so it's kind of a flip on that, like, good girl falls for the bad boy trope. That's just what I wanted to say. So I think that's also another interesting aspect or facet to this relationship.
Agreed. That's a good point to think about. I also like how she doesn't really fit the star. She's like, all of you, what you're saying, I mean, she doesn't fit the Starfleet mold very well at all.
She would never.
Like, I think at the end of Captain's Holiday, she says something like, "You got any place for an archaeologist on your ship?" And he's like, "I don't think you'd like it." And then that's a great point. And also a big way to differentiate her and Picard, like personality wise, is at the end of Qpid, she chooses to go with Q and just have fun and go places that she couldn't normally go.
Something Picard would never choose to do.
Absolutely not. I actually feel like, now that you're bringing up how she's like so not Starfleet and kind of describing her character, she kind of reminds me almost a little bit of, if she were to be in Starfleet, almost Mariner-esque from Lower Decks.
Oh,
like I could almost see that a little bit, where she, because like you said, Ferengi, like, because she has Ferengi friends,
yeah,
and like, and how she just knows all these people and like kind of gets into this trouble, like on Risa too.
But Mariner, here's the thing: I think that Vash is in most things for herself, and I don't think that's true about Mariner.
Yeah, ultimately Mariner wants people to think that, but she isn't. So that's why she works with Starfleet. So Vash, they'd have a similar attitude, but Vash would be like playing it truth to who she is.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, it just reminded me of that a little bit too. But I suppose we could to the love story itself.
Yeah, we're kind of.
I guess if anyone wants any more information, if they want to move on, like I was going to say a bonus episode you could watch if you wanted to continue on Vash's story.
We're not going to discuss it here.
We're not going to discuss it
because
here.
it doesn't contain Picard.
Yeah, but it's a Deep Space Nine season 1 episode 7, which is called Q-less. It's the one Q episode of Deep Space Nine, and Vash is there. And at that point, she's kind of over Q. I think she kind of wants to like do her own thing and separate a little bit. So it's a fun kind of continuation of the character, and I feel like I think Ira Stephen Bear had said he wanted her to become a more major part of Deep Space Nine as a more recurring character, and it just never materialized. So I kind of like the idea that they wanted to bring her back and keep her around. It would have been fun. I know she sounds like she's in some of the books. She's in the DS9 Millennium novels and appears in a few other EU books. I guess I was just reading also that it looks like at some point in one of the books she becomes like the Borg Queen for like a couple weeks, and then Q rescues her and erases her memories from that. So that's a weird thing, but
What a tangent.
yeah, odd. So anyway, but would you have liked to seen her more in the show?
A little bit. I think as an antagonist she would be more interesting than a love interest. I mean, I think the small amount of time that she does spend as Picard's romantic fling, I think is interesting, but I wouldn't have wanted to. I mean, we'll go into it when I talk about my rating, but I wouldn't have wanted to see that fleshed out anymore. I think like it was what it was. But as a character, and the actor does a really great job, and she is very interesting. Like we're talking about, very non-Starfleet, but not really like a foe, but just an antagonist kind of role. Could have been really cool.
Like almost step down from Q in a sense.
Yeah, without the omnipotence. I don't know. I mean, especially on Deep Space Nine, I could have seen that happen. Like Bajor seems to have a lot of, cultural, historical significant sites. I'm sure plenty of artifacts that they could have made up for the show. That she, they could have been a constant antagonist. And also, the differences between Picard and Cisco, it would have been fun to see like Cisco having to deal with her.
Oh yeah.
Off and on with Bajor and stuff, but.
Bashir would have totally flirted with her.
Oh my god, yeah.
That would have been probably annoying at first. I think he did in that episode.
I think he did.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up his alley.
I'm sure. Kind of going off what you're saying with like kind of being almost more antagonistic. The actress, so Jennifer Hetrick, did describe her role and both the quotes I had were from a unauthorized guide to the new voyages. I think it's called Captain's Log Supplemental. But she said, quote, "I just used my own imagination and what I know of myself and found her a very adventurous and conniving to a degree, but also vulnerable and committed." Yeah. And I think that's a kind of a good way. Like she's kind of ruthless when she's trying to get what she wants, but she is vulnerable. She has her weak spots and
she wants you to commit.
Yeah. She wants you to commit. To a sense, to a degree. She wants her freedom too, but she wants like to know that you're there when she comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. That's something. Oh no, I guess it's a good segue. Romance.
Yeah.
Let's get the romance of it all. What's love got to do with it? Are you gonna sing it?
I will not sing.
I mean, I'm not gonna do it either.
What's love got to do with it?
All right. What do you think? Are we gonna go on the rating system?
Let's do it.
Should we describe the rating system again?
At this point, I'm just going to point you to one of our first 2 episodes, if you'd like.
Maybe I'll list it out in the notes from now on.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we need to really describe them. So going from bottom to top, red alert, yellow alert, fascinating, fully functional, and resistance is futile.
So, how would you rate the relationship between Jean-Luc Picard and Vash on our patented rating scale?
I thought about this quite a bit. And I'm wondering if you're going to want. I'm curious your reaction. I'm going to give it a red alert.
Oh, what?
I knew you were going to be. That would be your reaction.
You didn't get the Parasite one a red alert.
Well, no. Okay. Whatever. Okay,
all right, go ahead. Make your case.
It was a close call. I was trying to figure out between yellow alert and red alert. And while I don't think that there was any, like, no one was being harmed or abused really. However, I think she has the potential to be kind of harmful. So I feel like, especially on her part, a lot of half-truths, deception, but also insecure. And I think that that's not really a good recipe for beginning like a trustworthy, respected like relationship, especially one that like the type of relationship I think Picard would want. And I just don't know where you go from there. I mean, I don't know how many true things she told him like throughout their relationship. And so I Yeah, that was kind of the main reason, I think. And just because they're such polar opposites, I think they were only ever the two characters together were only ever going to be good for such a thing, a brief archaeology adventure, and I guess a run through the Sherwood Forest. But like if Picard had wanted to pursue it, I mean, I just feel like I would have, as his friend, I would have just been like, no, don't do it. She's got a lot of self-interest and will lie and be deceptive in order to reach it. So I mean, I'm surprised she didn't even confide in him that she had found the toxic Qpid already. She led him all the way, and she was going to just leave Ryza and be like, peace out, it was great to see you. I mean, I think there was a mutual attraction there, but I think that was it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that that point where she was about to ditch on Ryza is she didn't feel like this was a relationship she wanted to come back to. But after Picard like figuring her out a little bit, she kind of gained some more respect. And from that point on, I feel like there was more of like, she still had secrets, but there was less, it was a little bit, I think they understood each other a little bit more there.
Yeah, but the irony, she didn't, all the whole deception leading him around on Ryza, and then the next time we see her in Qpid, she is incredibly offended that he didn't mention their adventure and her at all to his crewmates. And even like, I think Beverly's probably one of the first people to say, well, he's a really private man, I mean, and so she doesn't even, but yet she continues to be like, well, did he talk about me to you? Do you? Have you heard of me? Like this, like insecurity, like, she wasn't honest with him at all. And then she was like, well, why didn't you like, tell everybody about me? Like you didn't say much of, yeah, I don't know. It's just a bit ironic in my opinion. Like, I think she's a cool character. And I think, again, like, I think it was really cool to have the, good girl, bad boy become good man, bad woman kind of vibe or switch. I think that was really cool. But ultimately, I think like the relationship could never have worked. Whereas in the Parasite episode, the last episode, I feel like those two could have possibly worked some stuff out. I think that they had like a potential to, whereas I didn't think that with these two. Anyway, that's my rating. I'm sticking to it. So I'm very curious to hear what you have to say, because clearly you did not rate it the same.
I did not rate it the same. This one, I will say, threw me through a little bit of a loop because I had to re-examine my thought of what I thought a quote unquote good relationship is. Like I feel like I kept thinking in my head, but like, oh, it's not going to last. It can't last. And I started rethinking like, it's not, what's that? I feel like I'm thinking of the Vision quote from Avengers Age of Ultron. Something's not beautiful because it lasts. Remember that?
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was thinking of like, a good relationship doesn't have to mean that it's something that lasts. And so I had to rethink of this whole thing in a different way. Like it doesn't mean I was thinking of it in a very monogamous sense. So my rating, I'm going to give it a fascinating.
Fascinating.
I actually guessed that's what you were going to give it. Yeah, I'm not surprised
at
all.
I had wavered. I thought yellow alert at first, but then I was thinking again, it's like, there's nothing wrong with the relationship that you have where you aren't really going steady, as some might say back in the day. You don't have to do that. You can meet up, have an adventure, hook up a couple times, and then leave. And that's totally cool. That's totally fine. I do recognize there are a lot of problematic elements where there's like, and I chalk a little bit up to the writing sensibilities where monogamy was kind of the norm, and it's not, they would never think otherwise. So they were kind of, they added these jealousy components, as I think in the writing of the episodes. That stuff sucks. Don't love that. But I like the idea. I'd actually kind of think it would have been fun if Picard, almost like every season, Picard would just meet up with her. They'd have an adventure. There could be a little bit of drama here and there, but it'd be fun. I don't think that they would have been the type to get married and settle down. But I don't think Vash is that. I don't think Picard's that either, as we've seen.
Touche.
Like he's not the person who wants to settle down, and so like that almost is kind of the perfect setup for him if he wants that sort of companion in a loving and kind of a lover sense. Oh, God, I'm bringing that back. Yeah.
I see what you're saying about monogamy does not need to be, or marriage or long-term commitment does not need to be the goal in a relationship. I totally agree. I think the problem for me was her deceptive nature and not telling the truth. And about some things. And I don't know. I think that lying, no matter what kind of relationship you have, is, you shouldn't have a relationship based on lies, whether it's a one night stand, but, the occasional fling, or, I don't know.
It's true.
Long-term.
Yeah. I think that, like I said, there's definitely problematic elements to it. I think that as we go throughout these 2 episodes, I feel like their understanding of who each other are gets better, where like Picard can kind of tell when she's lying. He like knows, he's like, you're up to something. What is it? And that's not great. That's not a great thing for a relationship. It does feel like that element is almost part of their flirtations into some capacity. So there's that. But I think my fascinating rating is a bit of an optimistic fascinating, in that I think if they were to have brought her back continually, I feel like that would have been a point in the relationship that would have been like a growth area that we would have seen become more shaped as we go along. And
he does know what he's getting into. I will say that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, again, I did waver between red alert and yellow alert, I guess. I don't know. I almost want to go in between and say orange.
Orange alert? What?
I know it's not a thing. I'm just saying. I just kind of want to go in between red and yellow.
What would orange alert be on a starship?
I don't know, honestly.
I don't know, maybe like something like a smelly thing.
Maybe it's just like poison.
Maybe.
Or fire.
I feel like that'd be green.
I don't know, because like red alert is just, I don't know.
Mr. Yuck Sticker is green. No, that's orange. Are Mr. Yuck Stickers green or orange? I'm getting off topic.
They're green. I just simply remember that. But also because he does, at one point in Captain's Holiday, it's like right as they're about to like snuggle or whatever, hook up under the stars. Like, I knew you were trouble. When I first saw you or something, which is very funny to me now, because now all I can think of is the Taylor Swift song, I Knew You Were Trouble When You Walked In. And now I'm going to picture Picard singing that in his head.
Picard jams to Taylor Swift.
He probably does.
I bet he does.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like the line exactly. So there is that, now that you're kind of explaining your stuff, your thoughts, I can see how Picard's not buying into everything that she says. Like, he knows what he's up against, and so he plays the game with her a little bit. So like, yeah, there's not really, I mean, he knows she's being deceptive, but he doesn't feel betrayed or deceived. So yeah, I can kind of see how that's, again, it's not as harmful as I was originally thinking. I just was so surprised, again, like rewatching these, how, yeah, just kind of, I just feel like she has a lot of toxic behaviors, and I think that's what sort of, I think like her part of the relationship made me go red alert. But now that we're kind of talking about Picard and sort of the interplay between them, I'm like, yeah, he knew what he was dealing with. So part of me is like, well, maybe it wasn't so bad, because he was, again, like kind of matching those wits with her. But
yeah, it's a good point.
I love how we both started about like maybe yellow alert. We almost were on the same page, and then we diverted completely. Probably
the best rating would probably be a yellow alert. I think we both just decided to go a little bit more with our gut. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, we really don't see Picard in a lot of relationships, though.
True.
Like, so we don't really know what he's like as a romantic partner, which sounds weird to say, but I mean, we don't see that much. So I think it's part of it, and why it's fun to talk about is I think it's just that it is such a novelty, and and somebody like this character, like the Vash character, pairing up against him is it's a fun pairing. It's just fun to watch. Yeah. Despite the episodes being overly silly.
Yeah.
But I guess it fits with the vibe of their relationship.
Yeah.
Overly silly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, you want to know a fun fact?
I do.
Apparently, in the French translation of this, they had to change her name. Did you see that?
I did see this, but you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, I took your fun fact. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't write it down, so I don't get to have it.
Okay, good. So, apparently, in the French translation, the word vache was too similar to the French word for cow. Do you know which word it is?
Yeah, it's vache.
It's literally vache.
Literally vache. It's spelled differently.
It's spelled differently, yeah.
But yeah.
So they had to change it to Viriad. If I'm pronouncing it right, I'm not sure. But yeah, they had to switch it because they didn't want everyone to think that they were saying cow over and over again.
Why did they name this woman Cow?
Yeah. Kind of a fun fact.
That is very funny. Yeah. I chuckled when I read that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I think that was fun. It was some good episodes, okay episodes, but it was a fun relationship to discuss. Any final thoughts?
No.
Watch more Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially those we know that some people listen who don't really watch Star Trek and only listen to this because they think it's fun to listen to us. But we're hoping that maybe we'll break you down and convince you to start watching some Star Trek. So,
and you don't have to
Do
go.
it.
You don't have to go in order. You can watch whatever you like. Watch whichever series seem cool.
Joe's got a watch list.
Yeah,
You
we're not
can-
gatekeepers. We don't even know what gates are. So just jump on in. You can just watch the episodes that we suggest along the way. It's fun.
Mhm.
Yeah. Please. So as we end our episode today, just a reminder to go check out our Twitter. It's DS Love Pod, at DS Love Pod. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and do all that kind of stuff with the podcast itself. And give us a nice rating and a review if you would be so kind. We have, I think, one, and it's from me, so that's cool. If you rate us, give us a nice rating. We'll read it out loud, and that'd be kind of fun. So consider that, folks. We'd greatly appreciate it. That would help us get heard by more, and just help us do more fun things for the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have our next episode picked out yet. So it'll be a mystery. You'll have to stay tuned
Check
and watch
the socials.
Watch, with Twitter.
Yeah, that's pretty much. We just have Twitter.
It's just pretty much Twitter. I think that's probably ideal. So that, or just be surprised the next time you listen once we drop the next episode. Again, thanks for listening, and until next time, love long and prosper.